late here, but we are here. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Appreciate y'all for joining in today. So let's get started. So, you know what I can't understand? And we're going to get to the Thursday night football game later. If you look at and Vegas is normally a really good indicator for a true projection of teams because Vegas is just in this to make money. Vegas doesn't really care about your feelings. Vegas doesn't really care how people interpret your team. They have pretty good evaluations for the most part because, again, they're just trying to make money. But between Vegas and even a lot of the experts right now, if you go look at this week's power rankings, favorites to win the Super Bowl, favorites to win divisions, it's the 3-5 Ravens, who admittedly I have faith in. It's the 5-4 Chiefs. It is the second place Bills. It's a lot of. It's not the 7-2 Broncos. It's not the 7-2 Patriots. It's not the 7-2 Colts. And that got me to thinking, have we just not caught up yet? There's always a changing of the guard that happens in sports throughout the years. This will always happen, right? Teams are great for an extended period of time. And then they no longer are great. Might still have a handful of great players, might still have a great quarterback, but they are no longer the dominant team in their division, their conference. Somebody else comes and takes their place. What has everyone been joking about with the standings last couple of weeks? Oh, we're all the way back to 2014. Because during the 2010s, the Colts dominated their division, Manning to Luck. The Broncos dominated their division, the Tebow year to Peyton Manning. And the Patriots, obviously, with the GOAT Tom Brady, dominated the AFC East. That then changed to, in the AFC East, Tom leaves, Josh Allen takes over, Peyton retires, Mahomes, Andy Reid take over, and the AFC South, 1 year it's the Jaguars, 1 year it's the Texans. They've been kind of all over the place. But a lot of the reason people don't have faith in the current 7-2 teams is simply because they haven't accepted that there is another changing of the guard taking over. That these are no longer divisions just dominated by the teams that we've seen them dominated by. Like, Kansas City is not winning the AFC West. The Ravens, I have a personal outlier objective to them that I think they have a chance because I still haven't fully bought into the Steelers. But if those three teams, and the Bills, who the Patriots schedule is just so easy that without a massive collapse, they probably win that division and have a true chance to be the 1 seed. We need to accept it. And again, I've been doing power rankings, and I have not put the Colts and Patriots as high. And shame on me. Shame on me. I should have accepted that earlier, come to terms with that earlier, and just go, hey, look, these teams, these guys, they are going to win this year. And we're just not ready to accept that the 3-5 Ravens, at least this year specifically, let's not even make it this is the projection of the franchises going forwards, right? Let's be fair, because these other teams still have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Those are obviously the best quarterbacks of this generation. But this year, the Chiefs are 5-4. Denver, if they win tonight, will be 8-2. They play next week in Denver, and that if Denver wins that game and they're 9-2 and the Chiefs go to 5-5, the Chiefs are not winning the division. The Chargers got both offensive tackles. They're playing the Steelers. They lose that game, they'll be 2 games behind. The Bills, who also have a semi-easy schedule, but the Patriots have the easiest schedule left in the NFL. I've already beaten the Bills. The Bills now have to go to Foxborough and beat the Patriots. It's a changing the guard kind of season, guys. We got to get over it. Like, we can't just keep putting all the money and all of the logic and all of the, oh, they for sure have it. In Baltimore's case, an under 500 team, Kansas City, a barely above 500 team, and the Bills, a second place team. We have a small changing of the guard that is happening in the NFL. Because here's the other thing you can't do, and I brought this up a little bit with why would he say that earlier this week. I don't want to turn NFL coverage into NBA coverage. Meaning, again, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, the best quarterbacks in the world. Top three. We've seen great quarterbacks, obviously in the case of Lamar and Allen, who haven't won a title yet, not win the championship every single year. That's the reality of the situation. We've all seen it. Don't turn it into, in the way the NBA, when you had LeBron, when you had Steph, when you had these all-time players, don't make them the, oh, as long as you got this guy, you're just going to succeed in the playoffs. I've seen this a lot with, I gave Nick Wright criticism of he refuses to accept any team besides the Bills as a real threat to the Chiefs because the logic is just, well, Kansas City's always done it in the playoffs. We've seen great quarterbacks not win, and when it's single elimination, that argument doesn't fly the same way it does in the NBA. In the NBA, because you've got a full series, yes, a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, they can dominate an entire series, and best of 7, they are going to win out most of the time. In baseball, a best of 7, we just saw with the Dodgers, your starting pitchers, yes, the bullpen weak, but the starting pitchers over a 7-game series, the obvious advantage in position players, that is going to hold out in a 7-game series. In a single elimination NFL playoff, if you just saw it last week, Chiefs Bills, if you get a good pass rush on Mahomes, that's how you beat him. And you only got to do it once. Let's not go, oh, just because you've got Mahomes or you've got Allen or you've got Lamar, that means no way you can lose. We've seen it happen a bunch. You get them off on you get a bad Sunday or you get a great pass rush from the other team. You play a bad half of football or not a great half of football in the playoffs. This is how great NFL teams lose. So the Colts, Broncos, Patriots, this is just their year. They have been better than the Chiefs. They have been better than the Bills. They've been, obviously, the AFC South is its own shit show. The Texans can't get an offense correct. And it's unfortunate, and CJ Stroud's going to be out here for a couple more weeks. Not a dirty hit, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. But Vegas having just overwhelming confidence and experts having, here's the thing, if you had Chiefs number 1 in your power rankings this week, the only reason I can justify that, or think, not even justify it, the only reason I think that you did it is because you watched the Chiefs 2 years ago and last year. So last year they had a great record. The year before that was the year we looked and we said, oh, they're struggling. And they won both, and they won, or two, sorry. Yeah, so last year they won the Super Bowl. The year before that they did. And you were just somebody like myself who were going, oh no, they cannot win the Super Bowl again. And you just don't want to look wrong at the end of the day for this year. And you're not willing to look at it as, oh, this is what I'm seeing this year. This is not last year's Chiefs. This is not 2 years ago Chiefs. What are the Chiefs this year? That's how we have to analyze them. That's how we have to break it down. So if you're just saying, oh, they're number 1 in the power rankings because they got Patrick Mahomes, what are you really analyzing? Just be honest with yourself. Man, a lot more to talk about. Again, we got off to a little bit of a late start today. We got a top at the start of the hour. We got a top 10 NBA players this season. The NBA has been having some great individual performances. Giannis, Jokic, Wemby. Um, a lot of NBA stuff to talk about. A little bit of college football. Obviously, why would he say that? And a lot more. Excuse me. And so excited for today's episode, man. And with that, this is HardFoul Radio. Again, as always, another episode sponsored by Dubby. Don't forget, use HardFoul 10 at checkout. If you are someone like me who drinks a lot of coffee, this has helped cut down some of my coffee intake. I don't drink energy drinks like Monster, Celsius, Rockstar, all those other ones. Don't believe what they say that they can quote unquote make you lose weight. W, real energy, no crash later. Use HardFoul 10 at checkout. Uh, been using it again. My coffee intake went from I was doing 5-6 cups of coffee a day to now I'm down to 2 to 3. And love Dubby. HardFoul 10 at check will get you 10% off. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. So, Victor Wembanyama has a real problem. And there's not going to be many problems in his game. Obviously, he's off to an incredible start for the season. But we have an actual real foul issue. That he's fouled out in 2 games. He fouled out last night against the Lakers. He fouled out against the Pelicans. There is a real foul issue. Now, he is an extraordinary player, obviously. Not just the physical stuff. Obviously, being the 7'4" is incredible, 7'4", 7'5". But he has a true offensive skill, a bag, as you would say. Like he can dribble, he can shoot. Ain't much on a basketball court he can't do, for just being honest. I think defensively, we are seeing a little bit of, is he a great defender because of technique, or is he a great defender because of athleticism and body type? So a lot of times, historically in the NBA, the great defenders, the all-time great defenders you need to be an athlete. You need to have a certain body type. You need to be, it's tall guys are shot blockers, right? Great athletes, Kevin Garnett, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, even though he doesn't get the credit, were able to use their skill as a defender to also help them block shots, change shots, distort shots. They weren't just 6'11", 7 feet guys blocking shots. The guys who are just 6'11", 7 feet, well, they're blocking shots because they're 6'11", 7 feet. And they're normally the ones that experience foul issues. And I think we have to wonder if there's going to be a flaw in Wemby's game. Because right now he has looked pretty flawless through the first part of the season. Just has. But if we're going to acknowledge, hey, is there a flaw? Is it the foul issues? Is it going to be something we look at and go, Victor Wembanyama, you can get around him because he's going to be jumping to block every single shot. He is going to be trying to make an impact on every single play. And does he not have the proper technique or skill to not be in foul trouble? Because again, the Lakers, we saw the last couple minutes of that game, they made that comeback partially, and now he played 33 minutes, but partially on the basis of you fouled them out. And what impact does he make as they're going for rebounds and those late free throws? How much of an impact does Wembanyama make in those last couple of minutes if he's there? And so, again, there's not going to be many flaws. 7'4", he could shoot. He's still blocking almost 5 shots a game. And that is good enough for right now. But when it comes to long-term success, is Wembanyama going to be able to hold up the long-term success defensively with the skill of a great shot blocker? Or is he just relying on that he is literally bigger and taller than everybody? Now, sometimes it doesn't matter. I'll just be honest with you. I said this about Giannis. Giannis never really developed a great jump shot, and it has not affected him. He is still just bigger, faster, stronger than everybody. You can't stop him from getting to the paint. He is just dominant. Shaq, just bigger than everybody, dominant. No one really goes, no one said Shaq had better post moves than Tim Duncan or Hakeem Olajuwon. He was just bigger and stronger than everybody. He couldn't do anything about it. So maybe that never has to change. And maybe he will just earn the reputation of the world's best defender, and that will cut down on some of these fouls and him fouling out in games, because you just can't be the best player on a team and you're fouling out every 3 games. That's not a sustainable pace. That's not a sustainable way to do it, right? And so, yeah, it's just if there's one early season flaw of the New York Jets. Sorry, I'm thinking of the next segment already. If there's one early flaw of Victor Wembanyama, is that we need to see the skill and technique of an elite best defender in the game, great shot blocker, best shot blocker in the game. We need that to catch up with just the overwhelming physical part of being a 7'5" shot blocker. Moving on to one of my favorite parts of the show. Why would he say that? And this is going out to everybody who is, and I'm not opposed to ripping Jerry Jones. I've ripped Jerry Jones a bunch. I thought what he did at the beginning of the season with Micah was insanity. I've thought that what he's done with the Cowboys as a whole is just crazy. But I want to give Jerry Jones some credit. And I think there's people who, and there's a lot of people that fit this mode, right? And again, why would he say that? Sometimes there's just narratives out there that are being spoken by so many people. Sometimes there's a poster boy for it, sometimes there's not. It's kind of hard to tell. But the overwhelming majority of media who are ripping Jerry Jones for this Cowboys trade of Quinnen Williams, right? Now, the Logan Wilson trade, I don't really have a stance on. Logan Wilson was benched by maybe the worst or second worst defense in the Cincinnati Bengals, and he is now going to maybe the worst or second worst defense in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if Logan Wilson is an impact. Quinnen Williams, I think, is a different conversation. Quinnen Williams, because there's an easy, lazy take that, oh, he's just there. And this really could apply to both Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. Let me be fair here, but let me address this. That, oh, they didn't keep Micah, who's a better, younger, more impactful defensive player, but they brought in Quinnen Williams. Why would they do that? Listen, if the Cowboys believe, and they should believe this, even if it's not true, they should believe this, that starting next year, if we have Dak, CD, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, Ferguson the tight end, and our offensive line, which is young, continues to grow, we are going to have a top 10 offense and maybe even a top 5 offense. They should feel like that. Maybe it won't play out that way, but they should absolutely feel like that. Then, if our defense, Trayvon Diggs comes back, we like Deron Bland, who obviously just re-signed, and we get 2 first-round picks to come in and play immediately. Let's get a safety and let's get a pass rusher or an interior let's get a pass rusher or a linebacker. Now, and I get one other draft pick to hit. So I get one guy round 2 through 7 who comes in and makes a impact as a rookie. I'm not saying you got to be all rookie or a Pro Bowler as a rookie, but just a quality defensive starter. I combine that with 2 quality defensive starters in the first round. I now get Trayvon Diggs back. I have Deron Bland, and I now have Quinnen Williams. If I have 5 guys who make an impact on defense versus this year, Trayvon's been out, Bland isn't struggling, there's no real pass rusher. You could argue they've got 1 guy, maybe 2 guys making an impact on defense, and that's why it looks so bad on a week-to-week basis. But that's all the Cowboys really need to be an impactful team and potentially a playoff team next year. Like, let's just be honest. If they go from 1 guy to 5 guys, Quinnen Williams, the 2 picks, you get Trayvon Diggs fully back. You have 1 more rookie come in and play pretty well. If that defense gets you to 15th, 16th, again, I've been really impressed with Schottenheimer. I like Javonte Williams. It was obviously unfortunate he didn't work out in Denver because of injuries. You got George Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Ferguson the tight end, you've got Dak. Like, there's things here to like again, we can all criticize Jerry Jones. We can all say, why would you do this to Micah Parsons? And that's fair. I still think the Micah Parsons trade would not have done it. But the reality is, when we look up in a year, because here's how you're going to, because this is how the media narrative also is going to change, by the way, because the media is fake. If in a year, the Green Bay Packers go 1 and done in the playoffs, or let's say it goes all the way bad and that offense doesn't recover and they continue to play games like Carolina, they just don't make the playoffs. And they have this really expensive Micah Parsons contract. And let's say starting next year, the Cowboys get off to a good start and the Packers get off to either a not quite as good of a start, or even the same start as the Cowboys. You're going to look at them and go, oh, the Packers are paying all this money for Micah. Didn't make the playoffs, went one and done in the playoffs. The Cowboys now have 2 first-round picks playing. They got another rookie playing. Diggs and Bland are playing well. They got Quinnen Williams playing well last year, who they got from the Jets. The Cowboys are going to look like they're in a better position than the Packers. And all of the media that loved the Packers and said, oh my gosh, look at how great they are. Jordan Love, Micah Parsons, this defense. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. They're all going to look and go, is Dallas the better team right now? Is Dallas in the better position? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm just saying. And to the Sauce Gardner of it all, to the people that are like, oh, the Colts, you traded 2 first-round picks. You believe in Daniel Jones? Yes, because Daniel Jones, the same way Seattle got Sam Darnold, the reclamation quarterback, on a 3-year, $100 million deal, the way Baker Mayfield was on his 3-year, Baker's going to get paid again, but he got his 3-year deal. He was sitting in the 30s for the first part of it. You'll be able to get Daniel Jones on that same kind of deal because those are his comps. So I don't have to pay $50 million. This is not the, oh, we believe, like, yes, they believe in Daniel Jones, full stop. But there is such a dramatic difference in believing in a quarterback at 30 to 40 million, and really just in the 30s, to believing in a quarterback at 50 plus million. This is not, Daniel Jones is not Tua making $52 million. It's not Trevor Lawrence making $55 million. He will be in this system with this coach, the reclamation quarterback who fixed his career, making $30 plus million a year. And Daniel Jones, somebody will do this one day, might actually take even a better deal because Daniel Jones already got paid from the Giants. It's not like Daniel Jones came here without ever making money. Baker, when he finally settled in Tampa, had not made real money. Sam Darnold, when he got to, obviously with the Vikings and now to the Seahawks, had not made real money. So think about this. Daniel Jones has already been paid. And when you're, again, take advantage of where you are right now. You're 7-2. You've got your head coach of the future. You've got your running back of the future. You've got some good weapons on offense. Defensively, the one place the Colts, if you look at the Colts across the board, the one place they had really, really struggled was in secondary. Pass yards, you could throw the ball on them. Now, Sauce has obviously, there's been some struggles this last year and a half, and he has blamed officiating. If you believe in the coaching in Indianapolis, and I do, I think a lot of their story this year has been a coaching story. If you believe in that, then you have to believe in the physicals of Sauce Gardner combined with good coaching that he can get back to elite corner status. So I really like the Sauce move. I like the Quinnen Williams move. And I think this is actually one of those weird trades. I think everybody's going to be happy because I think the Jets are going to love that they got a bunch of draft picks because the Jets aren't very good. They need to get players. And it's like, oh, well, you trade these guys to draft. One of the dumbest arguments in the world is you just hope to draft a guy like Micah Parsons or draft a guy like Sauce Gardner, draft a guy like Quinnen Williams. Of course you do. But if their timeline then does not line up with the rest of the team, sorry. And Sauce was becoming, I said at the start of the year for the Jets that I thought they paid Sauce and Garrett Wilson because they're saying, hey, this year's going to be rough. We're going to pay you guys now. And it's kind of a pay to be quiet and suck it up year. And year 2, we're going to feel much better about this. And I don't think Sauce really bought into the year 1, it sucks, and let's buy into it. So you got Garrett Wilson, who you're going to need because you're probably going to be drafting a quarterback because Justin Fields is not the answer. So you need to give him a number 1 wide receiver. And then you draft other guys. Yes, you want to draft a Sauce Gardner. You want to draft a Quinnen Williams. The Jets have actually drafted pretty well. but the timelines now no longer match up for what those guys are expecting versus where the team is currently at. So to all the people going, why are these like these were good trades across the board, and I think everybody's going to walk away a winner. Moving on to tonight's game real quick. Broncos Raiders. I don't think there's a lot here to talk about. Now I don't know if this game is going to be pretty. And I know everybody's going to go, if the game is not pretty, because it's a nationally televised game, even though, do we know it's nationally televised anymore? Like, if we're being honest, with all the different streaming apps, like, what is nationally televised? Is it nationally televised because it's on Amazon Prime? Is it nationally televised because it's on Peacock? Is it nationally like the stream war, and you know, especially sports fans, I feel like we're getting gouged the worst because I was even looking at cable plans yesterday, being like, should I just get cable again? And I brought it up to my wife, and she was like, well, no, because I only really watch Netflix and Hulu. And it's like, okay, well, that's because you're not really into sports, so I get it. But they are gouging the hell out of us with all these different streaming apps. But nationally televised game. And so if Bo doesn't, people are just, the narrative around Bo Nix is whatever you want it to be. I'm not going to argue with you. I've already made my case. I'm happy he's the quarterback of my team. And like Will and I were talking, yes, in our group chat, go check that episode out. It's okay to just be a good quarterback. I don't think Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I'm not saying Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback. He's just good, which means if you're a good quarterback, some weeks you're going to look good, some weeks you're going to look bad. That's the reality of Bo Nix. That's the reality of most quarterbacks in this league. We have about 6 to 7 guys, maybe max 6 or 7 guys who week in, week out, it's a 17-game season. Everybody's going to have 1 or 2 bad games. There's about 6, 7 guys week in, week out who look the same as far as consistently really good. It's a great. And Bo's obviously not one of those guys. Bo is in that 10 to 20 range of guys who some weeks are going to look really good and some weeks are going to look, not so great. This is a game, though, with the Denver Broncos that it's not so much a trap game because here's the reality. And again, no one's a believer in the Broncos. That's fine. In the Sean Payton era, they played 14 teams under 500. They've won all 14. They just beat teams that they're supposed to beat. They're 14-0. Like, it is what it is. Because, and part of that is this team specifically, the way it is designed, the way it's made up, Bo doesn't have to play a great game. The offense doesn't have to play a great game. You can just run the ball, which J.K. Dobbins top 5 in the league this year in rushing, and put Geno Smith on the ground 6 or 7 times with the literal non-hyperbolic best pass rush since they invented the 46 defense. That's how much that, like, I didn't realize, as just watching the games from a fan perspective, how different it is watching the Broncos pass rush versus watching other teams where I'm like, oh, you guys don't just sack the quarterback like once every other drive and just end drives because you push them out. You take them from 2nd and 7 to 3rd and 18. Like Denver's pass rush, when you look at those scales and those graphs, it's them by themselves all the way in this top corner. And then some of them, you can't even see them in the graph. And then the rest of the league. So you could win this game, running game, pass rush alone. I think the Raiders attempted to save their season last week with that 2-point conversion. I think it's going to be rough. They traded away Jacoby Myers. So even though Surtain is not going to be in this game again, I don't think there's much the Raiders can do. Again, if the offense it's going to be, I think, very vanilla, very basic. And I think they can walk away from this game. I would say it's something like 21-10, 24-10. I don't think it needs to be overwhelmingly dominant, especially because the game that actually matters is the following week. You'll have a mini bye because you're playing on Thursday, but the Kansas City Chiefs have a full bye, and you will have a chance at 8-2 to beat the 5-4 Chiefs. And if you go to 9-2 and knock them to 5-5, you'll finally get the respect and legitimacy from media platforms. Don't know if that's really mandatory or necessary, but you'll get it. And yeah, man. So again, not a ton with the Broncos Raiders, but I think this is a game Denver can win just by the pass rush showing up, which I think they will. The Raiders don't have a great O-line, and just playing okay on offense. And that'll get it done. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. And we are back real quick here before we get to the top of the hour. We get to the top 10 players so far this NBA season. You know who doesn't get, he gets a lot of criticism and doesn't honestly get enough love. I don't think we realize Russell Westbrook is incredible. Russell Westbrook is incredible. Listen to this. So John Morant right now, there is trade talk and it's what's his value, and there's, all these conversations about what he's done to his own career versus what he has like has he messed it up for himself essentially, right? That's a lot of the John Morant conversation. Has he messed it up for himself? Because we all know the incident, we're aware of, okay, and his play is somewhat decreased. He's not attacking the rim as much. Last year was weird. He said he wasn't going to dunk anymore. There's been all these different things happening, and it's like, okay, what is going on with John Morant? And executives, if you believe the insiders, are telling them, I don't know what his trade value is. John Morant's in year 7. Russell Westbrook last night, for all of his flaws, had another triple-double, 20-plus points. And the Kings aren't very good, but he's been playing pretty well from these last couple of games. And Russ didn't really lose his trade value. Like, remember, he was still getting trade for these big hauls post OKC a decade into his career, post Houston over a decade into his career. To the Lakers thought they were still getting, this is now what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, a all NBA player. He was great with the Wizards. Like, Wizards, Russ has some of the craziest stats you'll ever see. And in an era where a lot of small guards just don't work out, either unfortunately via injury, or we see them break down quicker, because when you're a smaller guy and you're attacking the rim like that, Steph has obviously played forever, but Steph's not in a super physical space. Steph's shooting threes. Steph is, he could sit back there. He's not engaging, getting fouled, contact every time. Russ is attacking the rim. He's super physical, a lot of contact, and he's still a productive player. Like, I don't even want to rip Ja, who, yes, Ja's done some stuff to himself. Some stuff I think you could blame on the organization. But Ja's been great. For Russ, Ja's been great for the most part, but obviously him not having trade value, you're 7 into his career, versus a guy like Russell Westbrook, who, again, yes, teams have said they don't want him because he is this really dynamic personality. He does require a lot as far as in-game. You can't low usage him and get production out of him. But Russ still being this productive on a nightly basis, pretty impressive for a small guard, man. And I don't think Russ gets enough love for that. It's pretty impressive. Oh, man. Take one break here at the top of the hour. We are going to be going over our top 10 NBA players. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. And we are back. It is hour 2 of HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. We didn't do a show yesterday. Had some stuff I had to catch up on. Normally, this would be a Wednesday segment, but again, like I said, didn't do it. But it's basically going through our top 10 players of the NBA season so far. It's kind of in pyramid style. I wish I had a better gimmick or presentation for it at the moment. Honestly, this is just the 10 guys who, in my opinion, have a couple factors. You obviously have to, on an individual level, play at a really high level. I also factor in team success, meaning if you're a guy who you were, for example, and he wouldn't have made the list, if Zion was playing peak Zion, but the Pelicans were 0-6, couldn't make it. Couldn't make it. I'm not putting a team that doesn't have one. Now, they won back-to-back games. Shout out to them. But if they were, for example, like you've got to be winning games, you've got to be impactful. It is a multitude of factors. But, excuse me, let's get into it. The top 10 players in the NBA so far this season. So, starting with number 10, a guy who I think is underrated at this point, and Alperen Sengun. Look, man, he's the best player on the Houston Rockets. Again, this is not just a stats thing. He is the best player on the Houston Rockets. Their offense runs through him. You even saw Kevin Durant when he did the interview, and he was like, hey, he's getting shots that he just doesn't feel like he's ever gotten before because either A, no one has set him up in that way, and B, very few times, and this is a guy who has played with Steph Curry. This is a guy who's played with Russell Westbrook, and he still feels like in terms of quality of shots, he is getting some of the best quality of shots in his career with Sengun. Now, I disagree with them. Obviously, I think Steph and Russ had more gravity and they're better players, but this is the best player on the Houston Rockets. And the Rockets, again, a team that I believe has a really good chance to come out of the West, compete with OKC. Even with a Kevin Durant on your team, this is their best player. I think he has so far been the 10th best player in the NBA this season. Maybe the most underrated guard / player in the league currently, and maybe the most underrated team is Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. Look, Cade, again, not just a numbers thing. Yes, he's averaging basically 20 and 10. I think he's like a half an assist away from it. Controlling an offense. He is a real two-way player and the very real Detroit resurgence that we just don't talk about. A lot of number one overall picks, we talk about their numbers. Most guys in the NBA, if you are a quality player, which you would expect as a number one overall draft pick, you are going to come in and you are going to put up numbers. No one denies that. No one disputes that. It happens all the time. Very few guys get drafted and you see almost the immediate team turnaround. That's what Cade Cunningham has. You've got this almost immediate team turnaround where this was lottery, and now this is, again, a legitimate playoff team, a legitimate good basketball team in Detroit. Cade Cunningham would be my number 9. A guy who would be my honorable mention. I think he's playing well, but they're still struggling. Like Paolo Banchero was putting up numbers, and if you just watch Paolo one-on-one highlights, it's like, oh, this is literally the second coming of LeBron James. Like, he's that good. The problem is the Magic still, now while they've been a playoff team, yes, they still struggle to score way too much. I think Cade, obviously, as a facilitator, is better, and just the impact he has had on his team, I think, again, as soon as he became a guy, they have been, excuse me, a playoff team. I think they're underrated as far as right now. They sit second in the East. They're 6-2. I think they're better than the Bulls at 6-1. I didn't have a Bull I put on this list. There probably should be one. I also didn't put a Nick on this list. Sue me. Going in at number 8. Look, man, if he could just figure out his immediate training, this would be the face of the NBA. And I get it. And Tony's pushed back on this and saying that all he does is cuss a lot, and that's why people like him. Maybe a little bit. Anthony Edwards, stylistically, the game, it looks nice. Again, this is also another one of those guys that even with the Karl Anthony Towns, who was on the Timberwolves roster prior to him, they weren't winning, even though Cat was putting up numbers and was justified because numbers he was putting up as a number one overall pick. But Anthony Edwards got there, and the culture started to change. Now, they are only 4-4 on the season, so you could argue maybe he should be a little bit lower, but I think he is a better player than Caden Sengun. Again, there's a bunch of things that went into this. There is some history of the player, and I think Edwards obviously has had the better career up to this point than these other two guys. He's played longer than them, obviously. Not much longer, but has played longer. This is just, he's dynamic. When he's in the game, you see the two-way impact. He's an offensive player. He's a great defensive player. And again, the Timberwolves, even though they're only 4-4, Anthony Edwards would be my 8th best player in the NBA this season. The timeless wonder, man. The timeless wonder. Now, Durant obviously is also a timeless wonder, but I think Steph is playing at a higher level than Durant is, and LeBron hasn't played yet this year. This guy, again, man, I'm going to be one of those guys. The Warriors are 5-4. I'm not the biggest believer in the Warriors, but when you look at Steph Curry, it's just incredible, man. I remember the first week of the season, like he's averaging 27 points a game. He's averaging 27 points a game, shooting almost 40% from three. When the first week of the season happened, and they were showing all these incredible MVP stat lines, like Giannis was averaging this, Jokic was averaging this, SGA was averaging almost 40, Wembanyama was doing all these crazy things. And then Steph was just at the bottom of that list, averaging 33 points on 40% shooting. Obviously, 33 points is going to come down. He's not going to average 33 for a season. But I think the only reason at our heart of hearts that we take the Warriors any kind of seriously is because we know this guy right here, the greatest shooter ever, and it's not debatable. A guy who's going to have an argument, and I know Magic is incredible, and I always go back and forth on this, but just the fact Steph is going to have an argument as the greatest point guard ever alongside Magic Johnson, man, it's just incredible. Steph Curry is my number 7 player as things currently stand. Give him the keys. Number 6, Tyrese Maxey. Listen, the Joel Embiid era, whatever you want to call it, if you want to say a success, not a success, because the Sixers were so terrible during the process, and he did get them to relevance and got them in the playoffs year after year, and he did get an MVP. Whether you want to say it was overwhelming, underwhelming, it's over. This is Tyrese Maxey's team. Him, VJ Edgecombe, the Sixers. This is another one of those. Look at where they are. There's 5-3. He is playing like leading the league in scoring, playing like a true lead guard, one of the best players in the sport. He is absolutely amazing. You could speak his highlights and his praise all day, every day. Again, Joel Embiid is an all-time talent, and that's really hard to move off of when you're a 7-foot dominant offensive player. Obviously, the injuries, but even with the injuries, to move off of that and to go, oh, we're fine because we have Tyrese Maxey. He's been playing like one of the 10 best players in the sport. I got him at number 6. It was hard for me to move him past number 5, who you could argue should be even higher. Again, SGA, say what you want about the style of play. I obviously do a lot. I'm very critical of the style of play. The reality is they just lost their first game of the season last night to the Blazers. They're 8-1 now, and they haven't even had their second best player. This is not only very on board of being a 70-win team. I think it's likely they win 70 games, which is incredible to say. And they might, I know it's early, But if any team out of the best records in the NBA, like I don't think the Lakers can sustain their pace. I don't think the Bulls or Pistons can sustain their pace. This SGA, if he gets another MVP and they reach the Bulls record, or not, so the Warriors record of 73 wins, I think that's absolutely on the board. And again, Chet Holmgren's missed games, J-Dub's missed games. You can dislike or argue with the process of how he got here. You cannot argue or disagree with the results of what SGA does on a night in, night out basis. Number 4, Luka. I think we're seeing now the full gravity of Luka Doncic. So I've been someone who has been critical of Luka. I thought he was obviously a great player, but I do think we saw the best of Luka very early on, and I wasn't sure how much room there was for growth. And I did, maybe fairly or unfairly, hold that against him. But what Luka is, we're now seeing the gravity on both ends, which is the Dallas Mavericks are a 14th seed right now. They were in the finals 2 years ago with him. The Lakers are 7-2. And LeBron hasn't played at all. Austin Reeves, I know he's played great, but has missed some games. And Luka's missed 2 games now. And I thought when all this talk in the offseason about, skinny Luka, see what he's going to do, I thought, well, of course he's going to score a bunch of points, but he's always scored a bunch of points. Scored a bunch of points when he was fat. He is, to his credit, similar in the Jokic vein of neither are ever going to be great defenders, but he is actually trying on defense now. And I think he is elevating the other offensive players on the Lakers where, again, Austin Reeves had the great game without either Luka or LeBron. But I think a lot of Reeves' continued success and production, a large part of that is to Luka. Obviously, when Luka is in the game, he's incredible. He's maybe, you could argue, he's the best scorer in the league. I think he deserves, the way he's playing so far to start this season, he deserves to be a top 4 player in the NBA. Then number 3, we talked about a little earlier ago. He's got to cut down on the fouls. But Victor Wembanyama put on one of the greatest opening weeks we've ever seen. Full sentence, stop. Victor Wembanyama put on one of the most impressive performances, first week performances we've ever seen. He was doing something almost every single game. Almost every single game that we've literally never seen before. Whether it was blocking somebody, literally blocking 3 to 4 shots of possession, running down the lane and getting a dunk on the other end, or blocking a guy, blocking him again, getting the ball, Jamal Crawford, crossover, dribble up the court, step back, 3 and 1. Like he was doing nightly highlights that we had never seen before. It was incredible. He deserves to be the number 3 player so far this season. Now, again, he has to cut down on fouls. You cannot foul out every 3 games. He's got to be better about that. But what his production and just, again, you just watched him. Just watch him. Watch the games. Watch what he's doing. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Number 2, in my opinion, still the best player in the sport, but the gap is being cut down. Nikola Jokic. He just makes the game of basketball look so easy. He never, they say, you can't rush him. This is maybe the ultimate, ever in NBA history, can't rush him. He leads the league in assists. He leads the league in rebounds. He's averaging 24, 13, and 12. Think about that. 24, 13, and 12. He went 33, 15, and 16, 34, 7, and 14, 20. It's not just a stats thing, but his stats are so 20, 25, 19, and 10 against the Timberwolves. He is maybe the smartest player we've ever seen, the most in control player we've ever seen. He is, again, he's not a great defender by any means, but he's not a lazy defender the same way I would have nailed Luka for in the past. He is very well aware of what is going on. And because of that, he's kind of going like, okay, you see him pointing out stuff on defense and go, okay, he knows what's going on. He's getting guys into position. He doesn't have the physical skills to be a great defender. He's never going to be a great defender. But he is so in control on offense, and he is so dominant on offense, the best offensive player in the sport, that he has been the number 2 player so far this season. And if I had an MVP vote, the best, and a guy who's making a case that he should be the best basketball player alive, Giannis Antetokounmpo. What isn't Giannis doing? The Bucks aren't that good, people. The Bucks are not that good. Giannis is carrying this franchise. Giannis is carrying this team. Giannis is doing things that he's just a monster. Just a monster. And what he's accomplishing is incredible. So we know he's the best two-way player on the planet, offense, defense. Yes, I still have him above Wemby because he's a better offensive player than Wemby is currently. Even if Wemby is close, I would say they're tied right now for best defensive player in the league. Giannis is just, again, the Bucks aren't good, man. And I'm going to end up picking them again to come out of the East because I don't believe in anybody in the East, but I believe in him. 33 points a game, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, playing all-world defense. You can't stop him from getting into the paint. He is so dominant. He is so great at basketball. It's just incredible. It's just fucking incredible, man. Like, what do you do with Giannis? You can't stop him. You just hope to slow him down. He right now sits at the top of the 10 best players so far this season. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday, going through 10 best guys. Kind of our player power ranking for the NBA. And if everything works, we should be getting joined by Dre here momentarily. 1 second. You are going to see something a little jarring, which is I will have hair in this next part of the broadcast. It's going to be great. So don't be scared. It just is. We just, we got it. So. Y'all know what time it is. We are joined second week in a row. My man 94 West is in the building. How we feeling today? Feeling great and feeling great. How about yourself, man? Wonderful. Can't complain. It's really like you said. Woke up in California. It's special as hell, but it's nice outside. Real shit, man. That's what we got. So let's start here. We'll address the Jersey in a second. So Bucks Patriots this week. Obviously, the Bucks were on the bye last week. What is your expectation of this week against the Patriots and a guy who I feel like that offense at all is Tristan Wirfs supposed to be back? Oh, he's already back. Good to go, man. So just know. So Mike Evans is the one injury this week. That's right. Oh. Yeah, man. Like we got a few injuries to us, man. We got Mike Evans is out. Kalais King is out. Coach Mark is out. We got a couple other people on defense, man. But as far as Mike Evans
man, nah, I'm not concerned at all, man. We got a talented receiver core that's out here making noise, man. It's really coming down to can our O line, stand up enough time just to get Baker Mayfield, time to throw the ball and do what we need to do. That's kind of our Achilles heel for this season, I would say.
Valid, valid. So, excluding your own team, when you look around the NFL, we all got teams like, not necessarily that we root for, but we fuck with for that season. We might like what a handful of players are doing. What team has surprised you the most in a positive way this season, excluding your own team?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with the Colts because the last few years, man, they've been like I think like a 500 team. A couple of years before that, they were just all terrible. But for them to sign Daniel Jones, who we all thought was a buster, thought he was a bust, man. Like, can't nobody lie and say, yo, we thought Daniel Jones was gonna be the man. But for him to go to Indiana and they really gelling, rocking and rolling, 7-2, strong lead, and their division, like, yo, who saw that coming, man? So, shout out to Indy, man, for making it work this year.
You think so? On the topic of Indianapolis, because I've been somebody out of my power rankings, I have them as I think they're a great team. I don't think they're an excellent team because I still have in the back of my mind, I'm like, playoffs come around, and I don't think it should only be a playoff thing, but like, I'm nervous to tell Daniel Jones is my starting quarterback. And I'm a Broncos fan. I've been on the record. I'm like, I think Bo Nix is good. I'm not saying that he's great or elite or no shit like that. I'm like, just good. Daniel Jones, I've seen just be awful. You trust the Colts if the playoffs started tomorrow and they got to go play whoever it is, Pittsburgh, Denver, New England, would you trust Daniel Jones in a playoff game?
From what I've seen, yeah. Like what the talent they got around them, the scheme they got around them, all he got to go do is go out there and just play his game. He ain't got to do nothing extra. They're not asking him to be the next, Tom Brady or Brock Purdy. Man, yo, just go be Daniel Jones and make the play. Not to mention, they got a hell of a good running game. You know what I mean? So that takes the pressure off. Got boy in my fantasy league eating them up, man. So, he has a good running game to fall back on. It's not squarely on his shoulders. So, from what I've seen this year, bro, and I think he can go out there and win a few games.
All right, all right. I forgot my skepticism, but I feel it. I can see it more strength than I probably am, but like I said, I've seen a lot of bad Daniel Jones, and that's just kind of the back of my mind.
So we're seeing that from New York, though. And New York is a trash team right now, man. So who's to really say he's trash and what's the system? Because like you just seen, he went from New York to Indy, dude blowing up. New York, on the other hand, they might be looking at they draft picks right now.
That's fact. Everybody that has left, like both New York teams, the Giants and Jets, like Sam Darnold left the Jets, he looks really good right
Yep.
now. And Rodgers left the Jets. Aaron Rodgers looks old, washed, like retired, and now like he's got the feel like he's not the problem with the Steelers. Like their defense honestly has played worse than Aaron Rodgers. So New York is a dumpster fire as far as professional football goes at the moment.
Right.
Um, let's talk about the jersey, and as we do with everybody as they come on here, um, your expectations for the Nuggets, but first, how you became a Nuggets fan.
Oh, good question. So how I became a Nuggets fan, man, is that my college team is KU. Like I'm rocking with them, even with football. They suck at football. I'm rocking with KU all the way. So that year in the Final Four, man, Carmelo Anthony beat us, and I was like, well, damn, bro, if bro single-handedly beat us, he got to be that dude. So I said, F it. I'm going to roll with Carmelo because, in that draft, it was LeBron James, it was Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony. So when Denver drafted Carmelo, I was like, yo, I'm going to ride with him, man. And, that's how I became a Nuggets fan, man.
And you stayed with him even after the trade to New York.
Yeah, man. Yo, that was a real crazy time period, man, especially because Melo was that dude, man. Like, not to say that Denver never had any teams because that would be a bald-faced lie, but he brought them back to real relevancy, and then you had the team around them was just epic crazy. So, yeah, when he left, it was like, damn, bro, do I follow him to New York or do I stay in Denver? And, I had to have a real conversation with myself, like, what we going to do here? And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm rocking with the Nuggets, man. Like, I love Melo. still root for him, man. But yo, I like what the Nuggets is doing, man. I like this team ball mentality they have, man. So I stuck with them, man. And you know what I mean? Seeing the trade getting Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon. Just, yeah, man. I'm riding mile high, baby.
The squad. I appreciate it. Denver sports. So we got some crossover there. Um, what are your expectations, I guess, coming into this season? Obviously, last year didn't end the way they wanted to. They traded Michael Porter Jr. over the offseason. Denver's in kind of this weird space, to me, philosophically, the way I look at sports, where you have one of the greatest players we've ever seen. So you can't not take like a season off. You can't not try to field a competitive team. But obviously, it no longer feels like the team that won a title. You could just keep running that back, which feels like what led to the Michael Porter Jr. trade. So how do you feel about this team? Obviously, Cam Johnson in for Michael Porter Jr. Jokic is still doing embarrassing people left and right every single night. Again, Jokic is this close to being one of the 10 greatest players ever. Like, he's just right on the outside. But what are your expectations for this season?
Hey, I want y'all to hear me loud and clear. Y'all see me? Y'all looking at me? This is ring number 2, baby. Ring number 2. And if you're really being real, this should have been the 3 season. But I digress, man. I think the move that we made this year is going to propel us deep into the playoffs and then to the championship game. Why? We got a bench now, man. Like, and that's kind of effed us over the last 2 years. That yeah, we got one of the best players in the world playing for us, but the man can't play all game, every game. You got to get some rest, man. And that's what was killing us is that to get us the lead, the bench will come in and we can't stay in the lead. But that's our guy got to come out there and work, twice as hard. Now this year, we have a deep bench. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. We got our boy Bruce Brown back. We got Valanciunas, Cam Ward, not Cam Ward, but Cam Johnson. Not this player, but these are extra pieces that we really couldn't afford with Michael Porter Jr.'s contract, unfortunately. And shout out to him, man. I hope he balls out in Brooklyn. I hope to see him, in the finals, man. But yeah, bro, this is ring number 2 right here. You get this.
I asked you about what it was like watching Brady last week. Again, I think Jokic is one of the 10 greatest players. And I think if he got a second ring, I would probably, when you get into the top 10 conversations, you do need, your resume does need to be of a certain degree, right? Like, when you get, especially, like, Magic's got 5 rings, Bird's got 3 rings, LeBron's got 4 rings, Kobe got 5 rings. So, like, when you're getting into that space, you do need more, in my opinion, than one. I think the lowest count for anybody that got a top 10 would be Hakeem. Is my number 10. He's got 2. But I would probably push Hakeem out for Jokic. That being said, I think he's the best player of the modern era. What is it like watching Jokic on a night-to-night basis as a fan of the team that he plays for?
Dog, it's crazy, man, because he is putting up astronomical numbers for a center, man. Like, you have never seen this in your life, man. And to have the pleasure, man, to see this night in and night out, bro, I might try to retire, man, because this shit is so special, bro. Like, bro, look at these passes he does, man. Like, again, this guy is a center playing like a point guard, man, and he's elevating everybody. Like, you really gotta, have your head on the swivel playing with Jokic, man, and just seeing this night in, night out, putting niggas in the blender, night in, night out, man. Like, good lord, bro. Like, yo, why was lying, bro? Yo, Jokic the greatest 15 Denver ever seen, dog. No shot against Carmelo, man. But let's be real about this shit, man. Like, he's not even done playing yet. So, whoo, man, dog. Listen, it's highlight reel every time you watch this man.
And he had to. I don't. He didn't necessarily have to be this level of player because obviously he is. And I love Melo. Will, one of my homies, he's a diehard Melo fan. Jokic did have to be great though because he got number 15, and I did in the moment because obviously like he was not a heralded like a top 2, top 3 draft pick, like he gonna come here save the city. He was a second round draft pick. We all know the Taco Bell commercial story about it. So it's like he had to be a great player though, or there was gonna be some serious pushback of like just gave away one of the greatest players in the franchise number with second round pick. The fact he turned into this, I think, has quelled a lot of conversation. Also, Melo, no disrespect to the Nuggets. Melo's from New York. He wanted to be a Knick, and so he went into the Hall of Fame as a Knick. So that story's kind of worked itself out.
Yeah, man, it's kind of a bittersweet story, man, because if you know anybody that was around, like yo, Denver loved Melo, like bro, it was Melo everything, man, and so the way that stuff happened, it was like damn, bro, like where? It's like all right, man, but we got Jokic, man, and then out of that Melo deal, we got Jamal Murray, man, so. Shit, man, it all played out in our favor, man. So it's like, it sucks, man. I would hope to see Melo at a Nuggets playoff game cheering us on, man. But man, he feel how he feel. He's grown, man. Shit, we got our rank players, so we good.
Right? And dude, that's one of the all-time sometimes you get these handful of teams in all sports where it's like, yo, that's just a black ass team. And the culture revolves around them. If you remember that first great Ravens team with Lamar, it was Lamar, Mark Ingram, what's the name of the corner for the Rams and the Ravens, Marcus Peters. And, it was just a black ass team, and it was they were so fun. Even if you weren't a fan of the Ravens, it was kind of hey, y'all fuck with these guys, and they lost their Titans, which is heartbreaking. That when Melo and AI was both on the Nuggets with Braves, that's one of the all-time culture teams, bro.
Oh man.
The cultural legend, one of the most influential basketball players ever. Niggas love AI, and niggas love Melo.
Right.
They didn't win shit together, but it was man, that was everybody was Nuggets fans for those couple of years.
Hey, yo, listen, I remember when we got the trade for AI. That shit, I didn't believe it. Yo, no way we got AI. I had to go look it up. I'm like, we really got it. I'm like, oh yeah, that trade right there. And the fact that we didn't get one. Oh, that makes me salty, dog. Like I said, Denver, when we had Carmelo, we had legit effing teams, man. We had Marcus Camby, Kenyon Martin, AI. Come on, man. There was no way, we should have got that ring. I know we ran into Kobe in 09. But, yo, Kobe unleashed the Bible on us. I seen it. I seen his face change. I was like, oh, shit, bro. Here we go, man. So, I can't be mad about that one. It's Kobe, dog. But we got close, man. So
love Melo, love AI, but it's and they both great. They both Hall of Fame. It's the greatest ever. But it's when you see that, it's kind of like Jokic is now. It's you see other great players in the league. Giannis is an all-time great player. Luka's probably going to be an all-time great player when it's all said and done. SGA, but it's you still see the difference in Jokic and the guy we're about to talk about here in a second. Kind of, and I put Jokic and Giannis to me feel like they're still on a level by themselves, and there's everybody else. And back then it was Melo was great, AI was great, but it was Kobe and Bron was playing different games than everybody else was. Everybody else was playing
real
basketball. Them niggas was playing spaceship.
Yo, for real.
There's currently, and I know you said this is ring number 2, but I'm curious if this gives you any pause to it. I don't think the Spurs as a team are contender level yet. I also can't deny that when I'm watching a 7'5" alien block people 3 times on one possession, dribble the ball up, do a crossover, step back 3, go, oh well, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I don't actually know if there's a way that. Okay, maybe they can win a title. Wembanyama, your experience just watching him in this short amount of time we've gotten to see him, and does that give you any concern of if the Nuggets had to play the Spurs in a 7-game series and that alien is lacing it up 5-6 games?
Well, first though, shout out to him, man. This dude is a walking 2K character. Nigga, 7'5", pulling up on you. Shoot 3, man. What's the effing thing, man? Come on, man. This is bananas, man. And at the same time, bro, you 7'5", and you got to think about today's NBA, the skill sets that you have to have. You got to be a shooter now. All positions got to be able to shoot. I think you kind of should be dominating. You should be doing what he's doing. I think so. Given the fact that, he's been training in the off season, he's been training with Akeem Olajuwon, Kevin Garnett. I think broke into a Buddhist temple a few years ago. Yeah, man. So he really working to get his game up, man. So yeah, that side, I do expect you to dominate. Now, are we scared of him? Hell no. Because I done seen John Morant find this niggas. times. And I've seen, KD boxing. I've seen Braun put him in the blender. So it's like, yo, yeah, he's big, he's good. I'm gonna take that away from him. But this nigga is beautiful. You know what I mean? And there's ways that you can do that. And if we, the Nuggets, got to see the Spurs, best of seven, oh, we gonna get him. He gonna get his point. I ain't worried about him, but we gonna get the best of that team. So I ain't worried.
That's valid. And now it depends. He was my wild card heading into the season because I wasn't even sure. You always have to worry about a frame that way, like it's just injury concern because we've never seen someone who's actually that tall, that frame, A, stay healthy, and B, like Yao was nigga shit, but Yao was a pure back to the basket. He was just 7'6" and kind of dunking on you. Shaq was nigga shit, but again, it's back to the basket. Somebody big, agile, like my eyes don't even necessarily register what I'm watching sometimes, and I'm just like, because it does look funny. And it's like, it's just because the human body, again, is not supposed to look like that and move like that the way he does. But if he's on his A-plus game, like Jokic and Giannis have the best A-plus games in the NBA right now, where if they go, they can get you 30-plus points, to get you 13-plus rebounds, and get you damn near 13-plus assists. Like, they are, Wembanyama, his A-plus game is potentially 30 points, 13-plus rebounds, and 10 blocks. And,
right.
And so I'm like, again, it's alien. He's just out here. But I like the Nuggets a lot. I would still have y'all probably right now going into the season, I had y'all third. So I had the Rockets with KD. I really like their team. Obviously, the Van Fleet injury hurts a lot because they don't have a real point guard now. And the Thunder, as long as they don't let Lou Dort play football, I don't know who the fuck's supposed to be.
And OKC overrated, dog. They defense is just tackling niggas, dog. I've seen that, man.
If they go, you don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, that's the
problem. Listen. The only reason why those boys beat us, we were injured, dog. Straight up. We were injured. Had that been an injury, we'd have took them boys, and that'd have been second grade. But, yo, I give them OKC their props. Like, yo, they're going to get you on the offensive side. Defensively, yo, keep your hands on the swivel because these niggas playing football at that point, bro.
I agree. I'd say, like, I've bitched about OKC playing football for 2 years, but the niggas apparently don't care, and the refs don't care. So I'm like, all right, hands up. Like, what y'all want me to do? Like, y'all gonna let us do it? I guess, I do it too. I'd be in the NBA now if they play tackle football.
You know what I mean? But you got to beat that man, yo. You just got to out-hustle, man. Outscore, man. Because, like, you got to think that they be doing some real foul and shit. That you want to knock a nigga block all one time, man. So you got to keep your cool, man, and just, you got to fight through that, man.
I would sign, what's my man's name? He used to do the black belt. James Johnson. They said he like a black belt. Jimmy check the fuck out of Lou Dort. You don't got to score. Jimmy check Lou Dort.
We got to see foul, man.
I appreciate you, bros. Always don't forget to check out 94 West Coast, his Twitter, his Instagram. Go check out what he's doing musically. And we're going to catch you next week, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Y'all be easy out there, man.
So.
And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Sorry about that. We're going to have the audio cleaned up in the final version that comes out on YouTube. Don't forget to check that out, please. And so, with that being said, a couple more things really quick to close out the show. So, when we got, I don't know if this is just a bot. Oops. Sorry, 1 second here. Yeah, bots. Cool. Gotta love bots. Again, tonight, Thursday Night Football, Broncos Raiders don't have a ton of expectations. Shout out to Pelicans for winning 2 in a row. Just some news and notes that didn't make the full show. Pels won 2 in a row. Broncos, Raiders, Thursday Night Football. Not a ton to talk about there. The Thunder did lose their first game last night. Blazers came back. I don't know who to take serious in the NBA this year. My stance has been OKC is clearly the best team. The Lakers are 7-2. I don't think that's sustainable. I'm not an Austin Reeves believer. Shout out to the Snowtime Lakers, though. The Nuggets I believe in as far as Jokic, but I'm nervous about the rest of the team. I know 94 West is convinced their bench is elite this year. We'll see how that works out. Excuse me. The excuse me. The Warriors, again, I think they're a little too old. Clippers, I really don't believe in. The Pistons are a good team. I don't know if the Pistons can be a great team. So, again, I don't have a ton of faith as far as any one individual person is concerned. I think there is a chance that it's just tough, man. The NBA right now is in a really tough position where I don't know who to believe in as far as who is great besides exactly the Thunder. And I don't really love the way the Thunder play, which makes it a little it is Thursday, though, so we're going to get another Michael Jordan clip on NBC, so that should be interesting. That Mike Tirico interview that they're just going to give us parts until it's time to close up, and Michael kicks him out of his house. But I don't know, man. A lot more. Again, tomorrow we are going to have picks just in our top 5 NFL picks of the week. A shout out to 94 West again for joining us. Again, the audio will be cleaned up in the official version drops on YouTube. Please go watch that, as well as the group chat episode that just dropped yesterday. Please go tune into that. And Matt and I are recording A&M today, and that will be out tomorrow morning as well. Or tonight, actually. I'm sorry. So appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Appreciate everybody that's been going to watch the YouTube channel, watching the TikToks. This is HardFoul Radio.